Oh,
Hello.
we
Hi,
are
everybody.
live. Hello, everyone in APG land.
Howdy, howdy.
Hi, everybody.
Jeff thought I was in a space shuttle.
Well, I mean, it kind of looks like a rocket motor over to your left. You know, the drogue chute thing.
Oh,
And then the railing or whatever with a canopy kind of looks like the inside of a second stage or so. I don't know. I don't know what else.
Yes, I can see where you.
Then I saw the drogue, and then I saw the other airplane up there. And went, oh, okay, I see what's going on there. I see what's going on finally. I got a good group of folks in the chat room.
Actually,
it's very good.
It's a very nice airplane I'm formatting on there.
What is that?
It's a TriStar.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Look at that big tail. That the horizontal stabilizer / elevator.
Yeah, that we're just about to knock off.
Oh, that's not good. How close is that? What's the length of that drogue chute tube?
I haven't a clue, Jeff. I don't know, about 60 or 70 feet.
Yeah, it looks like less than that.
Yeah, we pushed it in because we're taking gas.
See.
Oh, there's so many UWSS.
Yeah.
We've pushed it in a bit too far.
Well, I hate it when that happens.
Yes, I know. Ouch. Don't do that again.
It's all because of Liz.
Yeah.
We were having a very innocent conversation there until Liz had to add her commentary.
I'm thinking the white bands are probably 10 feet-ish. So we're probably about 30 feet back. And there's an amber band there which you're not supposed to make disappear. Because if you push in too far, the fuel stops flowing. And the tanker guys get a bit excited.
I would guess they would.
Yeah.
Yes, Gail. I made the decision on I think it was the last episode that we just have Liz's feed coming in that back channel to everybody, the live feed as well.
Can we call it?
Try and keep it down.
Yeah. Can we call it the back passage, please?
Back passage. Yeah.
Yep.
Sure. If you're comfortable with that.
Hey, I'm.
Whatever.
Okay, I'm not going to go any further.
No, I'm just trying to think of something I could say that would be vaguely acceptable.
So, Steph is planning on joining us pretty soon. She's on her way home. She should be home shortly and joining us. So we'll wait till she gets here before we actually start the show. Let's see. So here's the deal. We have part 1 today and part 2 tomorrow, and that was to accommodate Rick. He's over there in, I don't know, he's probably in Anchorage, about to fly to Seoul, South Korea.
Yep. And
so he'll be in Seoul. I think he gets in sometime early in the morning, our time. Even later in the day. So we're not going to start the part 2 until tomorrow night at 9:00, which I believe is about 10:00 his in the morning, his time.
Correct.
And so it'll be myself and Rick, and then most likely not Nick, because I don't think he's going to get up at 2:00 in the morning to part 2.
Because I love you all.
Unless he just happens to be up. But Liz will be with us, and
I'll be there.
Maybe, I don't know about Steph. She really hasn't said a thing. She's been very non-committal about it, but I'm planning on it just being Rick and I on the as hosts. And so what we're going to do here today is get to about the 1.5 point at which we'll start the installment of Plain Tales. And then when we end Plain Tales, we'll just wrap it up from there. And then for part 1, and then we'll do whatever we can tomorrow night, Eastern time.
Perfect. In fact, please excuse my nuts.
Okay. Well, we'll do that.
Thank you.
Let's see, what else was I going to do here? I need to set up the recording. That would be
Right, so there's spare time tomorrow, Jeff. I'll see if I can post another couple of plain tales onto the website because I'm a bit behind.
okay. And I'll make sure that I'm not quite caught up myself, but I looked to see how many were still in draft mode, and I thought, okay, it's safe. I'm okay.
Yes, you are. Yes, and I've probably got to do some of those add chapters to them, so that'll take me a while. So,
all right, very good. I was telling Liz that this last time I didn't have the chapters version of the show to like add all the markers and photos, but using the script that you have in the note for Liz to follow along with while we're recording the show live, and she knows when to put the photos up and stuff. And that was I used it, and I think it was actually a little bit easier for me to do it that way. So I learned.
Oh wow, that's great.
Yeah,
because we're chapterizing two different versions of the tale, which is doubling up their work, which is, you know, a little bit of a shame, I guess.
Again, if you wanted to, you could still just do one with the, you know, like the full version that we upload for Plain Tales podcast.
Yeah.
And I can just, you know, fade it out.
Well, that's what I've done on the current one.
Mm-hmm.
The one for today's show, because I've already done the chapters on that, and that is a full length version. So
okay,
if you fade that out,
so I'm going to have to fade that out today.
No,
okay.
The show version for today has not got chapters in, but the version that says chapters is titled chapters.
Oh, gotcha.
It's obviously the full length version I've done.
Okay.
I'm just wondering what happens on the final podcast if you use the full length version and just fade it out. What happens to the pictures?
Nothing. They stay there.
Yeah, they stay there while it's being played, but once you fade it out, I guess once you cut it, once you edit it and stop it, rather than just reducing the volume, the pictures stop coming, which is good because you don't want random pictures just popping up, do you? No.
But as I said, I mean, to make it easier for you, instead of doing two separate versions, well, never mind. You don't do that. You don't put the chapters in the show version.
No, I don't.
Okay, so never mind. All right, let me.
That's what Liz does that for me. And I was looking at the number of pictures we've got to put on tonight's show, and I'm going, "Wow, Liz is going to be busy."
Oh, great!
Well, I have to time my bathroom breaks.
Yeah,
you are. Yeah,
I'll have to say, I'll have a look at it and go, "Oh man, that's going to be a lot more work for me too."
Although, having said that, there aren't quite as many pictures in the feedback section as there were last week. There were an awful lot last week. It was good.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm trying to find the file for recording this show, and I moved it onto a separate drive. So now I'm having to find it because I need to save a new version of it and call it 441. Should have done this before now. Just thought of it though.
Liz, so we haven't got Radio Rogers feedback in this show, have we?
Yes, it's in the intro.
His feedback is. Oh, excellent.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, good. So
see it there.
We can correct his
keeping us up to 50%.
Well, we can keep him up to 50% as well.
Exactly.
you got it cocked and loaded.
Yeah, I spotted that straight away.
Yeah. whatever the term is. Okay, here we go. Let me put this back over here to.
That's a lovely bit of feedback, actually. That's very good.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm always intrigued by little snippets like that because you have to be in the industry really to know something like that.
Yep.
Oh, Pip's on board. It's twice in a row. Hi, Pip.
Hello, Pip. That was fun sharing the photos from the 200th episode. That was a blast. Why am I hearing that feedback?
Well, that's a very nice speech there, John.
Do you hear that?
Yeah, just getting it. Sounds like a radar coming through your radio. Sometimes if you're very close to the radar head, you go buzz, buzz every time the radar sweeps through the aircraft.
How's it go?
Buzz, buzz.
Well,
Sounds like a wasp.
Just all that. Yeah.
It's from the Surface tablet that I'm using to have Liz on the back channel.
Back passage, Jeff. Back passage.
Back passage.
Yeah.
Oh, here she comes.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
I need to work.
Uno momento.
Oh, that's not it. Okay. And don't worry. Take your time, Steph.
We are.
Okay. No, I had to fix the audio going through the wrong place there. I didn't want it to be echoey. So.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm just going to put you in the right place.
Okay.
Seniority order.
Okay. That noise that we're hearing, is that going to bother anybody? It was only going to be on the video version.
No.
I haven't actually heard it for a little while.
Okay. I hear it. I hear everything. What is going on?
I just heard it. But.
You need a bit of my tinnitus, and you wouldn't have to worry about it.
It'll just be there all the time, no matter what.
There you go.
The buzzing.
Yep. I get whistling every hour of the day.
Yeah.
I heard it a bit then. That's all right there. That's very quiet to me.
It's coming in, and I don't even have the thing plugged in. It's like right now it's coming in much more pronounced. Is it something? Why don't you mute your mic for a second, Liz? Yep. Coming from your end. I keep moving things around over here.
Coming from me.
Yeah. But now I don't hear it.
Okay.
Interesting. I just heard it. Briefly.
You did?
I don't hear it now.
I hear it now when she's talking.
There it's back now.
It's like the power cords. Are they running near your microphone?
Not really.
Or near the power cord for your laptop? Is it running anywhere near the interface, the Motu?
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, I'll bet if you disconnect the power cord to the MacBook that it will disappear. Unfortunately, so will you after a little while.
Is it gone now?
Yeah, I don't hear it.
Neither do I.
Okay, let me plug it in again.
I don't hear it now.
Well, it's plugged in.
Yeah, when you talk, I hear it.
Came back. Yeah, it came back. Okay. I'll leave it unplugged until I...
Be careful. That's a very dangerous thing to do. I've done this before. I have experience with this.
I'll watch it.
And then you forget. And then all of a sudden, you're like, everything just completely shuts down.
No, it's okay.
Okay. I'm sorry. I meant to do something before we started today's show, and I forgot. So I have to get this file set up for recording the show. My bad.
Oh,
My
good.
bad. Okay, and let me.
We're doing recordings tonight. Yep.
Sure. I don't know. What do you think, Steph?
Sure, sounds good to me.
Okay. Oh boy.
What was that?
I'm not quite ready yet, though. So you can put it down if you like. I'm not looking to see. I can only hear the. I can only hear the clapboard. Can't see it, but I have a picture in my mind of Nick holding it up and packing it together. Right? Am I right?
I was, but then I put it behind the head.
Okay. All right. Let me get rid of all these markers. All right. Boom.
Golly, September. It's really got quite, wintry last few days.
Really?
Oh, really? It's like 98 degrees outside right now.
I hear.
Well, that makes me feel a lot better. Thank you, Steph. That's very empathic of you.
And like 77% humidity at 10 o'clock last night when I was out trying to run, and it was very uncomfortable and sticky.
Ew.
Yeah.
Come on, Jeff.
Shut up, Jeff.
Shut up, Jeff. Yeah, we already had that. Oh, come on.
Actually, it's good having only a 2-hour show. There's a chance I'll finish it sober.
Oh, good. That's always a plus.
Is that what we're gonna do? 2 hours?
Or just under 2 hours?
Because I'm being pestered for dinner plans here, so I'm trying to coordinate.
We're going to do an hour and a half and then the plane tail. So in theory, that's
okay.
An hour and 50. And then we'll probably talk about it for 5 and say goodbye for 5. So that's 2 hours.
Okay. All right. Signal there. Signal from whatever noise Nick is making in the background.
NewBelgium.com. I don't know what NewBelgium.com is, but
that's a beer in the US.
Happiness has a sound, and you hold the key.
Which it's a I have one of those. Did I give you that?
Yeah.
Or you got it? Did we go to New Belgium when you came to Asheville?
I don't know.
I don't remember. I don't think we did. Anyway, there's a New Belgium in Asheville. So.
Is it that he has? What is it that he has? I'm not seeing anything.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was a bottle opener from New Belgium. But I have the same one downstairs.
I thought he was drinking a beer from New Belgium. How did he get
No, just opening it with New Belgium.
Why is it coming there? No, that's not right. Huh.
Oh, that's true.
But that should be stereo. What's going on? Sorry, buddy.
Fat Thai. Yes, I have drunk a considerable amount of Fat Thai, one of my favorites, really, because our hotel in LA, the Sheraton in Pasadena, it was one of the few decent beers they had on tap. So
I don't care for Fat Tire, to be honest.
Well, it was that on Blue Moon.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, it's leaps and bounds better than Blue Moon, for sure.
Yeah.
But it's not my favorite New Belgium beer.
No, it wasn't the best of bars. If we wanted a decent beer, they had a, what do they call it? The ale? No, the Yard of Ale, the Ale House or something up the road. Had 100 beers on tap, except it was a little bit, they had 100 taps, but not all of them were beer coming out. So it looked very impressive. But when you asked for a lot of them, they went, they don't have any of that.
Yeah.
Sorry, everybody. I'm having trouble with the audio routing. It's not doing what it's supposed to do.
Imagine that.
I don't think that's ever happened before.
No, actually, it happened on the last show. And I found out when I was doing the post editing.
Okay.
So it was like the audio coming in from StreamYard was on one of the tracks, and it was also on the track that's only supposed to be stuff like
That's what she said.
coming in on my.
Mhm.
Interesting.
And I don't know why it's doing that. It's annoying. It's not supposed to work that way. And it's messing things up, and it's
Well,
upsetting.
we don't want that.
That I don't understand. Why are you doing that? Loop back to DAW 3.3. Okay, that's me. That's right. 5 and 6.
Oh,
Sorry, that was me.
Oh, was that phone like pretty close to where you are? It sounds like it was. That sound that we were hearing might have been your phone.
No, well, it's like 3 feet away.
Oh, okay. What the heck? Okay, hang on. I gotta check one more thing then. You guys can go ahead and entertain the live audience.
oh, I'm sorry.
We
I'm
are.
doing a bunch of other things too, multitasking.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Actually, looking at them, I think most of them are dead. The Yard House, that was it. The Yard House. Well done, Ranjit Harajan. We used to go to the Yard House just off Colorado in Main Street down Pasadena. Actually, that area had some few nice restaurants and some good drinking places.
Yard House is a good place.
Yeah.
Let's say
I'm
something.
actually-
To be fair, Pasadena was a lovely little town. It was super.
Liz, would you say something?
Say something.
Okay.
Crackle. Seems to be associated with
When you're
radio
talking.
using the mic, so I don't quite understand that.
Let me talk again. Is it happening now?
No.
No, not as bad anyway.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Should not be getting any signal from 5 right now, but I am.
Mm-hmm.
Very strange.
So, how many backs did you stab today, Steph?
6.
Ooh. Is that a
Yes.
record? How many
No.
of you? What,
Oh,
what do
no.
you normally do? in
Well, I
the-
mean, so Wednesday's only a half day in the afternoon. There's certain procedures that are booked for half an hour. So those actually, they don't take me half an hour. Just the surgery center thinks that I need longer for them,
Mhm.
which is not really true. It just takes them longer to turn over the room because things have to be switched and changed and whatnot.
Okay.
No, I think the most I've probably ever done on a day, like a full day, 26 or 27, probably.
Okay.
Wow.
Now, you generally go in to the back from the back. Do you ever go in from a funny angle? I mean,
Sometimes, so some stuff in the neck we do from like the very side here.
Okay, you don't do any from the front.
No, there's a lot of
Okay.
squishy things in the way that we don't really
Well,
like
you're
to
only
poke
putting a
holes in.
little needle through. Presumably, it'll all heal up eventually.
Well, yeah, after all your intestinal contents leak out, that's,
It's just
or
a
if you
small-
you go through a lung field or something, probably not ideal.
A what?
Blood vessels, other things you don't want to really be
Yeah, they probably leak
puncturing,
it.
even with a small needle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, that's a long way to go. You need a really long needle to do that.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I think that would probably be
Just from a practical
most people-
standpoint, that's
from an accuracy point of view, yes, that would also be a bit. of a
yeah.
problem,
The
I
further
guess.
the distance the needle has to travel, the harder it is to make it precise. Let's just say.
Yeah.
I mean, it's completely doable and should be doable for experienced operators, but distance-wise, I mean,
And is it all handheld, or do you have a machine sometimes that helps steady things up?
handheld,
It's all handheld. Ooh.
very steady hands.
Yes, yeah, yeah. But this is the
my
one I operate.
This is the one I shoot with.
Yeah. Seen
From
that
Blazing
joke
Saddles.
before.
Yeah, it's from Blazing Saddles, isn't it?
Yeah. It was. I'm trying to think of the movie. It was a cowboy movie.
Yeah, wasn't it Blazing Saddles?
Oh, this is the one I shoot with. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Gene Wilder, right?
Gene Wilder. That's it. Yeah. Great.
This is my shooting hand. Yeah.
Greg,
found the
you
YouTube
stick at your fans, mate.
Damn it.
Well, if you're the kid, then show
Oh.
me something. Oh.
Sorry, that's playing through my. Put that in the. Oh, sorry, I'm getting a phone call.
Oh,
Hello.
Hi.
Hold
Hi.
on. I actually have to take this if we're not doing anything just yet.
okay.
No,
Take
no.
the call. Take the call.
Someone mute me.
Okay. Somebody did, I guess.
I
Yep.
did.
Thank you. Well, I can't figure this out. I guess I'll have to figure it out after the fact and try to make sure it's sounding correct. It's a big head scratcher for me.
We've probably got a few minutes till Steph's back.
Okay. Well, now why is everything not working? Okay. Everything's back. It's even picking up. Hello?
I'm here.
That's the strangest thing. I don't know why it's doing that. When you do multi-track recording, you can kind of pick the source and then on each track, you can designate what goes on what track when you're recording. And I'm doing that, but it's like sending the audio to places that it's not supposed to be sent.
It's all software driven.
Yeah.
Yeah. A bit late to start. Shut it down and start up again, I suppose.
I don't think it's that kind of an issue. But because the reason why I say that is because it happened last week. I didn't notice it until I was doing the editing, and I'm thinking, why is that audio coming? Why am I hearing it on that track? Like, for instance, if I played this right here, like
family show, ladies and gentlemen, family show.
Okay, so it's coming in on the track it's supposed to, but it's also coming in on the track that I'm recording for you all in StreamYard.
Oh, okay.
It's not supposed to be there. And it's okay. I can deal with it, except that when you are talking and I'm playing some kind of a sound effect at the same time, and then it gets a little wonky for the trying to edit everything because I have sound in both places. Okay, let me do a test on the soundboards here. I'm going to play a little bit of a... Hope this doesn't get me in trouble. Google would never send me a dirty letter. Okay, that seems to be behaving. Okay, it's being routed correctly. It's only the iPad that's doing that.
We shifted around hotels in Miami, Harris, and most of them were on the beach. So it was South Beach was the best. Then we moved up to Mid, and then we moved even further away, and that was just a drag because it was a long way from everywhere. But South Beach was good. We had a nice hotel down there.
Where'd you stay in South Beach?
At a hotel. I'm trying to remember. It was, they're all Art Deco sort of things, aren't they? And it was one of those.
I don't think Nick flew to Orlando.
Oh, MCO. Oh, the company did. I didn't go there very often. I'm thinking of Miami. Sorry.
7-4s go there, right?
Yeah, we step in when the 7-4 fleet just all broke down, as they often did.
Where's Rick?
Not here to defend it. Not that he could. I mean, they're such old airplanes. What do you expect? Someone was having a go at me the other day about the power of the A340. You know, we had more thrust than a damn 747-300. So I blew him out the water.
Literally.
Yeah.
Good for you. Okay. We're just going to go with what I have. And
Getting close.
yeah. Close enough. Okay.
Clapper time.
Oh. Sure. You guys ready for a clapping mark?
Yep.
All right. APG 441 in 3, 2, 1.
All happening.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay. Here goes. Well, no, let me get the cursor back to
Good luck, everybody.
Yeah. We're all counting on us. Okay, record. Oh, I should have done that. Okay, let's do the clap again. No, never mind. Just forget it. Oh. Okay.
You're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show.
The view from our side of the cockpit door.
WAPG, it's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Airline Pilot Guy episode 441.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Hello, you're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy show, the view from our side of the cockpit door, with your host, Captain Jeff, broadcasting live from Studio 1A at APG headquarters in Roswell, Georgia. Today's show is recorded on the 2nd of September. Can you believe it's already September 2020?
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy. Would you ride and it's flying by with the Airline Pilot Guy?
In today's episode, a Boeing 767's landing gear collapses while landing in Bucharest. Ukrainian Air Force jets practice landing on a roadway, but one almost hits cars and people. More news, your feedback, and today's plane tale, RAF Form 414, Volume 7. So get all settled in. Tray tables and seat backs in the upright and locked positions. Electronic devices powered on. I'm Radio Roger, and Flight 441 is ready for pushback.
Thank you, Radio Roger, a Emmy award-winning radio and TV broadcaster based in New York City at 1010 Winds, #1 all-news station in the nation. Welcome to the Airline Pilot Guy Show, an aviation podcast covering the latest in aviation news and answering your great feedback. I'm Captain Jeff, an airline pilot for a major legacy carrier based in Atlanta, GA. And also here, helping me with all this from her lakeside studio in the Carolinas. She's a doctor, skydiver, marathon runner, strength training junkie, IPA connoisseur, and commercial multi-engine instrument-rated skydive pilot, Dr. Steph. Welcome to the pod. Hello. Am I doing something wrong?
Helps if I unmute myself, which I did. I pushed the button and didn't actually click. But anyway, I said hi. Glad to be here. Happy to be helpful, maybe, or not helpful, as the case may be.
Yeah,
Not doing
I
so well
have
so far.
to think twice about that. And also joining us from across the pond in his studio in the English countryside, professional photographer, former RAF, RAAF fighter pilot, retired captain for an international airline based in London. It's it's Captain Nick.
Hi there, Jeff, and hi, Steph. Try shouting louder next time.
I think I can get through the mute that way. That'll definitely work.
Great to be back on the show, and I'm looking forward to getting in bed before midnight tonight. That'll be fun.
Very nice. No, the missus isn't. That's another thing altogether, isn't it?
Life is like that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's move on to our first segment, the news.
Stand by for news.
Okay, let's start with this. An interesting thing happened in Ukraine. The Ukrainian Air Force exercise almost ends in disaster. On August 27th, the Ukrainian Air Force fighter jets practiced for rough landings on improvised runways as part of trials to use roads for emergency landings and to demonstrate the capability to swiftly assemble air power to counter any threat. Two Sukhoi Su-27 heavy fighter jets of the Ukrainian Air Force landed on the main road connecting the capital Kiev with Chop on Thursday. In the footage below, published by numerous witnesses on social media, you can see Su-27s performing their drills on what is known as Highway M06, a Ukrainian international highway connecting Kiev to the Hungarian border near Chop. I don't know. Chop?
Shall we see that footage, Jeff?
Yeah, why don't we show that footage, Liz? Regular time or regular speed, but there was a roadside sign that got hit and almost sucked up by the number one left engine intake, and it kind of neatly wrapped itself around the edge or exterior of that inlet on the left side, and luckily didn't get sucked in to the engine intake.
Very lucky. That could have been extremely embarrassing. Had he lost his engine at that moment, things might not have gone quite as planned.
Nope. It says one of the fighter jets miscalculated the landing point and almost landed on the head of people and police cars, and also knocked down a road sign during landing, which could lead to a fatal crash. I'm going to do this. I'm going to share this photo. Has some close-up views of the sign getting wrapped around the intake. And let me see here. Let me get back to...
If anyone can work out what that sign says, I'd be most interested to know.
Oh, I mean, there might be some irony or something.
I was hoping, or yeah.
Okay, I'm going to share it. So you should.
I mean, I don't know if they're made of iron, Jeff, and they might be tinnery.
Yeah. Is that showing up?
Okay. No, it needs to be a bit
There's
bigger.
one that's a bigger picture, like a zoomed in, like right on the...
okay, that's from a distance, and that's at 100%. I can't do anything about that. But so you can sort of see the red circle showing where the sign is on the intake. But here you can clearly see.
Oh yeah.
the damage to the left intake.
Yeah.
I can't tell what it says, but looks like maybe a
J.
I don't know.
A J, yes.
J. It's backwards. Or, no.
I was hoping it would say danger, low flying airplanes.
Well, there's too much paint like scraped off of the rest of it to know.
It was quite an impact. I don't think these signs are really designed to withstand this kind of collision. But they're
not. Yeah, road signs are not designed to withstand any type of collision. Having seen some knocked over recently.
Looks like this airplane's going to need some body work done.
Just a little, right there,
a little bit
above where the sign is.
Yeah, actually, this will probably be fixed with speed tape without too many problems.
Speed tape and Bondo. That's all you need.
There you go.
All right. Anyway, so yeah, that was kind of a close call there, but luckily nobody got hurt.
So is this a usual thing for Air Force training, like to land on roads as part of rough?
Not on
land?
purpose.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't really practice it.
Well, our Air Force used to do a fair amount of it. The Harrier boys were adept at landing on more or less anything, including fields and the like. The Jaguar boys used to practice landing on the autobahns in Germany. It was one of the features of the aircraft. It was supposed to be capable of rough field landings. So yeah, a few of them did.
There's another picture here I'm looking at too, and there's people just like standing on the road in close proximity to this jet coming into.
Yeah, I don't think you're supposed to land that early. I think his landing.
That was the miscalculation.
Yeah, I think
that was a miscalculation. I think he was supposed to land beyond all that stuff, including the sign.
The sign. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I have seen different air forces of different countries practicing this sort of thing. I think, was it the Swedish Air Force or the Swiss? I don't know. They kind of blocked off an area somewhere where they do this like every year. They practice using stretches of road to land on.
Well, the Norwegians and I assume the Swedes used to have mountains where they had hidden aircraft shelters, and they could taxi out, and the taxiways looked just like ordinary roads. The airfields were incredibly well camouflaged. So, they were talking about in Cold War time. So it was actually sometimes very hard to find your way home because everything looked blended in with the countryside. The runways were painted and the hangars were grassed, and the hardened aircraft shelters, I should say. So yeah, they used to do that, and literally their aircraft would taxi into a hangar that was part of a mountain.
Wow, like the Batcave.
Exactly.
Very cool. iHaul Boxes says, aren't all Su-27s made out of recycled traffic sign? Could be. I don't know. It was just seeking its home. That's all. All right, that's enough of that. 3 people killed in plane crash at Coulter Field in Bryan, Texas. This comes from theeagle.com. Not a lot of information about this, just that 3 people were killed and 1 was injured in an airplane crash at Coulter Field Airport, Bryan, Texas, before 2:30 p.m. Sunday afternoon. The FAA issued a press release at 3:30 p.m. indicating the plane was a single-engine Piper PA-24 with 4 people aboard. Let's see. In addition to the 3 fatalities, a 4th individual suffered critical injuries and was taken to a hospital via helicopter. And that's all really that particular news item says. We also see something in the aviationsafety.net piece or article regarding this, a Piper PA-24-250 Comanche. And it said that the aircraft impacted airport terrain, came to a rest inverted during a landing attempt at Coulter Field. The airplane was destroyed and 3 out of the 4 people, okay, we know that. The last remaining occupant survived with critical injuries. So it looks like it was during a landing attempt that this occurred. So.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, inverted, there's certainly parts of the aircraft that are inverted and some that appear to be maybe still upright, which is not good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like the whole airplane has
just
been compressed into about a 5-foot square.
Yeah,
It looks absolutely tragic.
Yeah, not good. Okay, well, hopefully we'll learn about a little bit more about what happened there. Maybe if you're a listener in that area of Texas, you might be able to keep your finger on the pulse and let us know if you hear anything about what exactly happened there. Item C. An Emirates Airbus A380-800 registration Alpha 6 Echo Mike performing flight 449 from Auckland, New Zealand to Dubai, United Arab Emirates with 378 passengers, 29 crew, was en route at flight level 400 about 140 nautical miles east of Chennai, India at around 21:54 Zulu when the aircraft encountered turbulence. Okay, this happened when? July 10th of last year. 2019. Looks like the final report was released by the United Arab Emirates GCAA. The probable causes of the accident were, let's see, the flight was planned Let's see. The Air Accident Investigation Sector determines that the cause of the accident was the severe turbulence, acceleration forces, and clear air imposed on the aircraft as it flew in an area affected by convective activity, resulting in several unsecured passengers and cabin crew members forcefully impacting cabin furnishings. Contributory factors to the accident. The flight was planned north of an area with forecasted convective activity containing embedded cumulonimbus clouds. The flight crew did not request updated weather information from air traffic control or pilot reports as the aircraft approached the area affected by the convective activity over the Bay of Bengal, or the Bay of Bengal? Bengal. I don't know. Choose one of those. The wet turbulence areas displayed in magenta on the navigation display did not prompt the flight crew to use the weather radar best capabilities by using WXR manual mode, enabling a more accurate assessment of the distance margin with the area of greatest threat. After turning the seatbelt light on, the flight crew did not communicate with the cabin manager to secure the passenger cabins before the onset of the turbulence. Not good. The cabin manager and other on-duty cabin crew members were not aware that the fasten seatbelt sign had been switched on, in spite of the fasten seatbelt sign flashing for 5 seconds and fasten seatbelt chime sounding. The GCAA reported the aircraft was flown by a captain and a first officer, augmented by another captain and first officer. About 1 hour prior to the turbulence encounter, the augmenting crew took over. During the handoff, the main crew advised there was weather activity ahead, with other aircraft deviating around weather. Ding, 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 ding. That should have been a little clue. But I guess they just ignored that information from the primary crew. During the flight, the weather radar WXR and turbulence functions were in auto mode, and the WX push button was selected on the electronic Flight Instrument System Control Panel, EFIS CP, which enabled the display of weather information on their nav displays. Let's see, at 21:48, so it's night. As a precaution, with the aircraft about 40 nautical miles away from the location of the turbulence encounter, the captain decided to turn on the seatbelt sign. So that's about 5 minutes before they hit the area. There was no call from the captain to the cabin manager. Okay, we talked about that. The seatbelt line.
Our airline didn't do that. So obviously that's an airline specific thing.
What's that?
And make a call as well as turning the seatbelt signs on. For us, it was just sufficient to turn the belts on.
Okay.
The cabin crew didn't get a telephone call as well.
So what would they do if the seatbelt light gets turned on? Are they going to continue their service, or are they going to also take their seats, or what?
It depends on the severity. So if I anticipated that it was going to interrupt the service, then I would call the FSM and say, you might want to sit everyone down and secure the cabin. But that was pretty rare, very rare, that you would expect to have to do that.
Okay. Well, in this case, they didn't, and they didn't alter their course at all. They continued the track.
Interesting.
What? Did somebody say something?
I said interesting.
No, and I said, oh.
Okay, there we go. I'm sorry. I wasn't sure where they came from.
Just random voices in Jeff's head.
Oh.
That's right.
Other people he has here doing the show with him. Just expressing my surprise. That's all.
Yeah.
Was it Dr. Bob that used to have that problem?
I think so.
In the Muppets.
I thought maybe it was Liz trying to give me some kind of information, but it wasn't her. It was Steph.
Not me.
Anyway, basically, there's a little bit more information here. They talked about maybe going around it. They would have had to go maybe 80 nautical miles out of the way. Not a lot, especially on a long flight like this. And they decided, it's okay. It's going to be okay. It looks like we're going to be on the top of it. Let's see. During the interview with the crew, the captain stated that on the nav display about 80 nautical miles away, there was a couple of red spots displayed on the nav display, but they were well left and right of the track. The red spots disappeared as the aircraft got closer. The flight crew, of course, that beam, it depends on how the angle of the beam is set. If it's an auto mode, I'm not sure what it does on a 380. The flight crew stated that they adjusted the weather radar range on the EFIS control panel between 160 nautical miles for the captain and 80 for the co-pilot. The weather radar gain control located on the SURV panel was set at 85% for the captain and 50% for the co-pilot. Captain stated that the Airbus A380 aircraft weather radar can determine what weather is relevant and what is not. So it sounds like it's kind of a smart radar, which is referred to as on-path and off-path. He further explained that a decision to deviate is normally taken before the aircraft gets within 40 nautical miles of the weather. They dimmed the cockpit lighting to observe the lightning activity in the area, which occurred approximately every minute to 30 seconds. Because it was night, during the lightning, they were able to see the tops of the weather and the weather below the aircraft. However, as the tracking of the aircraft was through a clear area with few clouds, they decided to continue with the planned flight route because the weather radar display on the nav display was showing the weather as off path. Let's see. So it goes into much more detail. When they hit the area of clear air turbulence, obviously due to the convective activity, the flight crew described the turbulence happened very quickly and they were jostled up and down. And even with their seatbelts on for the first minute, they had to brace themselves. And this is an A380.
Yeah, that's a big airplane to be thrown around.
Airplane to be jostled around. Because the airspeed had suddenly started to increase towards the maximum operating Mach, MMO, speed limit of 0.89, the co-pilot tried to maintain the airspeed by immediately moving the speed brake lever to deploy the wing spoilers and reducing the Mach target number from 0.84 to 0.72 Mach. The flight crew said that they did not observe any speed exceedance. During the turbulence, the autopilot remained engaged and there was no excessive altitude loss. Anyway, then they got the call from the cabin manager saying that there were, let's see. Oh, at the time of the turbulence, there were 15 cabin crew on duty, including the cabin manager. Of these, 3 were in first class, 4 in business class, 7 in economy class, and 1 seated in the cockpit. 9 cabin crew were on their scheduled rest in the crew rest compartment located in the aft cabin. Let's see. So there were several. Basically, he called and said that there were several of the cabin crew injured as well as several passengers injured. And I think they continued on to destination.
It's a description there. You might have just eased over that, Jeff. 4 cabin crew assigned to business class reported to the cabin manager that they were in the aft galley at the time and had suffered injuries when they flew up and impacted the ceiling.
Ouch.
So that's pretty severe turbulence.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It was almost seems to me maybe, and they seem to be indicating maybe that the decision making and the attitude of the captain who was in charge at the time was a little bit cavalier. Like, it's not a big deal. I mean, he's thinking we're in a big giant airplane. What's that going to do to us?
I mean, it seems implied they did talk about how other aircraft were deviating for this weather and reported some significant turbulence.
They may not have been at the same altitude.
Exactly. There's a lot of variables here that I don't know that we know.
These guys are up at 40 grand. So,
yeah,
you know, we understand that big clouds can, in the tropics, get up that high and even higher. And that you don't, you know, within 5,000 feet at the top of a cloud, you can still, going over the top, you can still get turbulence. But, you know, I have to say, I'm reading his words here, and he's got a very sophisticated radar. Sadly, I'm not familiar with the particular settings on this radar, but if it's anything like the ones we had on our 330s, which are an interleaved system, so they do multiple level scans. They're also linked with terrain over the Earth, so that they can automatically adjust their angle to give you the absolute primary, the best indication of weather. And they're also all color coded and very sensitive. They're very, very clever bits of kit. Why they're criticizing him for not selecting a manual mode when, you know, he's got all this computerized automation there. The manual mode can be good because it might reveal something that the automated system has missed. But on the other hand, if you select manual, you can very easily mush the scanner away from the important bit to look at and miss something that the automated mode might give you? There are lots of questions here that I don't think are fully answered.
No. Well, the flight data recorder data indicated significant wind variations. Severe turbulence occurred within the initial 20 seconds. That's a long time of severe turbulence. 20 seconds. It must have felt like forever. This caused variations in the aircraft attitude, altitude, and a sudden airspeed increase, which momentarily exceeded MMO. The aircraft systems responded in order to avoid the overspeed. However, even with the auto thrust reducing the engine thrust and the automatic deployment of the speed brakes, I thought the first officer said that he manually deployed them.
He did. Perhaps it's an automatic system as well. I don't know.
Okay. There was an exceedance of the MMO speed that resulted in an overspeed warning lasting 3 seconds. But you know what? At the time of severe turbulence, they may not even have noticed that warning going off. It probably was pretty crazy.
And that warning doesn't actually indicate that there is danger. There's usually a 10 or 15% built-in safety factor there before anything starts falling off. So you still got a wide margin of safety.
So I'm thinking that based on what the commanding captain who had just started their rest was, if he had been at controls, I think they would have deviated, because he kind of indicated to the captain taking over that was probably, what
he might have had longer to build up a mental picture of what was occurring ahead. And the guy who's just come on, he's, okay, right. He's probably got a quick brief and then off he goes. And he's probably expecting a nice quiet cruise. That's all he's got to do.
Yeah.
And he may not have been quite attuned to it.
Yeah. Well, there you have it. Severe.
Jeff, I'm just going to interrupt here and put something up on the screen.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Oh, look at that. Kenneth Sellers just got his instrument rating on August 24th. Woohoo! Congratulations, Ken.
All right, that's the last time I fly in a cloud.
Watch out for those convective clouds. Convective activity.
Watch out. If you're flying over the Bay of Bengal, make sure that you watch.
Bengal, as in the Bengal tigers.
Bengal. Okay, Bay of Bengal.
400. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yes, congratulations, Ken. All right, let's move on. This is a good one. We have a video clip to play.
Yes.
Well, Alex, Christine, the FAA confirms to me that 2 separate flight crews report what, quote, appeared to be a man in a jetpack as they prepared to land at LAX. The pilot sounded quite certain, as you can hear for yourself.
Tower, American 1997. We just passed a guy in a jetpack.
American 1997, okay, thank you. Were they up to your left side or right side?
Off the left side, maybe 300 yards or so, about our altitude.
Okay, American 1997.
That's right. Sunday evening, on final approach to LAX, an American Airlines pilot reports, quote, a guy in a jetpack. A second pilot, believed to be a SkyWest flight, confirms a third pilot was on the lookout.
We just saw the guy pass by us jetpack. JetBlue 23, use caution. Person in a jetpack reported 300 yards south of the LA final at about 3,000 feet, 10-mile final.
JetBlue 23, we're heard and we are definitely looking.
You believe the pilot?
Absolutely, I believe the pilot. There's no question in my mind that American pilot was very definitive about what he saw out his window.
Retired pilot and aviation safety expert Steve Cowell says this could be a misguided stunt.
Even the most technologically advanced jetpacks, can only fly very briefly. So it's possible this person may have gone up and then come down and then driven away.
We've all seen images of jetpacks, typically used for fun, over water, for tourists, but not too high off the ground. But 3,000 feet in the paths of jets landing at LAX?
Whoever was operating, if it is a jetpack, this was a crazy place to be.
A second retired pilot, an aviation expert Fox 11 consulted, also gave the American Airlines pilot the benefit of the doubt adding if this was in fact a jetpack, it was incredibly dangerous.
The danger is that, God forbid, if they would have hit this object, whatever it was, could get sucked into the engine at low altitude. That could cause a considerable damage to the aircraft passengers, not considering the person that was in the jetpack.
The FAA is investigating, only saying this is, quote, an unverified report, only adding it was a pilot doing the reporting when Fox 11 pressed for answers. They've also notified the LAPD. So far, an unsolved mystery, summed up by one pilot this way.
Only in LA.
Only in LA. Now, it's unclear, Alex and Christine, exactly what's going to happen going forward, because the FAA says they turned this over to the LAPD Air Support Division. The LAPD Air Support Division says they did not get a report. American Airlines won't talk to me. They say talk to the FAA. So research has shown that jetpacks can go up to maybe 6,000 feet, but anyone that would have the technological capability and the money to do something like that would certainly not do it on the flight path into LAX. So definitely more to come on this one. Live near LAX, I'm Phil Schumann.
Yeah, it was a Fox 11 affiliate in Los Angeles, and yeah, American Airlines goes, I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know.
Talk to
Never
the
say
FAA.
never. Just because they've got money and fancy gadgets doesn't mean they have good sense. So
Yeah, that's true.
That's very true. Can I share a screen? Do you mind?
No, not at all.
I haven't done this for a while.
Mhm.
Application window. Damn it.
Is it a Chrome tab that you're going to share? Or,
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to do a Chrome tab.
Okay.
That's us. If I
So you should,
do
when you share
that-
this, there you go.
What do you think that is?
a balloon,
Kite.
Yeah,
a
it's a
kite.
kite.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna. Can you unshare me? Because I wouldn't know it. We go. I do that. There we go.
Okay.
I think it might have been a kite because you can get these man-shaped kites, and if you saw one flying along beside your airplane, you would assume that the guy isn't Superman. You would need a jetpack. It's quite possible it was a jetpack, but I'm thinking a more simpler thing might be some kid was flying a kite.
It might be. It could be. I don't know. It's more fun to think of it as maybe like Iron Man out there. It is Los Angeles.
Yeah, well, if it'd been Iron Man, yeah, that would have been great. But his butler would have stopped him from colliding with an airline. I'm not sure.
That's true. Well, anyway, I don't know if we'll ever figure out exactly what happened here, but as the
Shame no one got a picture.
I know, right? No one was recording that approach from their seat into, out the correct side of the aircraft.
that would have been awesome.
I know.
Mhm.
Yeah, it would.
Oh well.
Oh well, there you go.
Particularly if they come along and sat on the wing, that would have been very cool.
That would have been
Mind if I pull up a seat here? Is this the smoking
Yeah,
section?
that's right.
kind of reminiscent of the last show with the TikTok and the person out on the engine.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, very good.
Yes. All right, let's continue, shall we? North Star DC-3 in the colors of Cargo North, registration Charlie Foxtrot Kilo Golf Lima, performing flight 102 from Pickle Lake, Ontario, which is 1,900 kilometers northwest of Toronto. Oh, that's a long way northwest of Toronto, to Big Trout Lake, Ontario, with 3 people on board, departed Pickle Lake, but immediately after takeoff, the crew needed to put the aircraft down again onto the ice of Pickle Lake. There were no injuries, and the aircraft sustained substantial damage. Let's see. So they released, this occurred on when? March 17th, 2017. And I think we did talk about this shortly after it occurred. But since then, Canada's Transportation Safety Board released their final report on August 31st, concluding that the probable cause of the accident was after lifting the landing gear control handle with his left hand on or near the throttle quadrant, the pilot not flying may have inadvertently moved the fuel condition levers, cutting the fuel to both engines simultaneously. Let's see.
Oops. That's
Yeah,
not good.
whoopsie.
Yeah.
basically the main cause of what happened there. They just shut the this
They just cut
person
the fuel supply. Yeah.
the fuel supply. And in a little bit more detail in the final report, they talk about the fact that this occurred to about 200 feet above the ground. So
Yeah, so not going to get
not a lot of
things. Yeah, at that point you're landing straight ahead with whatever you got. Yeah.
And also, now in this from the Aviation Herald, they do have a picture of the throttle quadrant. Here, let me see. I'm going to go ahead and share this with everybody so they can look at it. Let's see. Da-da. Wish there was like a one button thing that you could just hit and make it happen. Wouldn't that be convenient? Okay.
You know, modern technology and all should be.
I mean, if the StreamYard was more like an Airbus, then you could do it. But I guess it's much more like a Boeing or a Douglas. Speaking of Douglas, here we go. You see the power levers on the left, or levers, propeller levers in the middle, and then over there on the right, those red ones that should probably indicate something important. The fuel condition levers, and they kind of poke out over to the right. Now, interestingly, and not in this report, but in the final report, the way the landing gear lever is not where most of us would expect it to be that fly more modern airplanes. Do you know where it is, Steph? Have you ever been in a DC-3 cockpit?
No, and I was looking here to see if something looked like a landing. But
okay,
Nick
where
knows,
is
so
it?
go ahead, Nick.
It's on the floor between the two. Well, it's sort of behind the console on the floor. So
yeah, more
you
close.
sort of reach down.
Yeah.
So
you just reach straight down behind the console?
Yeah, there's two levers down there. One.
So wait, as we're looking
one
at
powers the hydraulics, and the other one does the moving. When I was chatting with Nick Kamachka and sitting in the cockpit of their C-47, he showed me, the sort of things you had to do. It's quite a complicated procedure to whack the gear up and down. Not simple at all. But it's so you do have to go past that throttle quadrant and down to get to it. And when you brought your hand back up again, you're going to go past all those levers.
Yeah, so it's on the other side of all of the controls.
It's directly behind those. On the
so
floor.
looking not behind, but basically in front of. You have to lean past all of that to get. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, if you're sitting in your seat, imagine yourself sitting in your seat. You're going to have to lean back into the center of the cockpit behind the center console to get to those.
That
to
seems
get
like
to
an
the
interesting
undercarriage
design.
levers. It is, but I do notice those fuel condition levers have got a stop. They've got a detent on them, so you're going to have to, and you've got to get them both off.
Yeah, you'll have to push over and back to get it.
Yeah, so it doesn't look like it's a necessary, unless they were, as happens, they get worn and you don't need to actually move them inboard to get clear of those detents, perhaps. I guess you can bang them, but you bring your hand back up, you're going to have them forward. Is that the correct? That's the run position.
Forward, yes. Yeah. You want them in run, not stop.
Putting your hand down towards the undercarriage is the time you're going to knock them.
Yeah, and you would knock them forward, if anything, you would think. Not.
Well, if you're reaching from your seat back and down, no, you're going to knock them backwards into the stop position.
But they said that he was using it kind of as a place to kind of
rest his hand
and turn his body so that he could reach down to get here. Do you see the picture on the that's a picture of the landing gear control handle on the floor, and it's just to the left of the right seat. Looks like right behind the center console. So
yeah, I mean, I would think I don't know. I can see how it would happen, but it still seems like a little bit of effort to make that happen.
It's not like you can just knock it. I think you have to like actually move it in a certain direction.
You'd have to pull past the detent there, like to the to the left and then back. And that shouldn't be a terribly easy thing to do. It should take a little bit of effort.
Mind you, for what effectively look, I mean, they call them condition levers. I'm assuming they're fuel valves, controls. They're very big and they stick up a long way. I'm going, perhaps it's because they've got big cables and you need a lot of leverage to move them. But I would have hoped they would have made them a bit shorter.
Smaller. Yeah. Less,
That's right.
less,
Not so
less
easy to
prone to
bash.
snag. Yeah.
But if they're really hard to move, which is why they would be large levers, the guy wouldn't necessarily just banged them and not realized.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this airplane was made in 1940, and they've flown these things for quite a long time. You don't really hear this happening too often.
No.
Again,
So,
never
yes,
seen
it was
them
a
around
good
these things.
thing there was ice in terms of recovering the plane.
Yeah, because that would have been in the water if it had not been ice.
Yeah.
Been a completely different outcome, I would imagine. And looking at the shot of the airplane on the lake bed on the ice, doesn't look like a heck of a lot of damage to it.
No, it doesn't. And all those blades look bent, so it looks like the engines were still rotating when it touched down.
But probably not producing a lot of power.
No.
No.
Probably have auto feathering, I think, probably. Okay. So interesting.
So,
whoopsie.
Bit of a pickle on Pickle Lake then.
Yes.
I was going to say, I really like the names of these lakes in Canada,
Show
north
title.
of Toronto.
Write that down. Write that down, Liz.
Pickle Lake.
On
Big
it.
trout.
Pickle on Pickle Lake.
Pickle on Pickle Lake.
What's funny is when I'm doing the editing of the show, there are so many great show titles after that.
And we just can't remember them immediately
remember
afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, darn. That would have been a good one. Oh, well. And usually by the time I figure that out, Nick has already done the artwork for whatever title we've come up with right after the show. So that's kind of a moot point. Anyway, continuing. Let's see. We're doing okay with time, I think. This is an interesting one, I think. And Liz thought so as well. That's why she put it in our news folder. Item F. And this is from 1 Mile at a Time blog. And this is a story regarding Suriname Airways, Boeing 777. Now, Suriname Airways has 3 jets in their fleet, 2 737s, and they're both 737. Well, I'm not sure what version, and 1 777. And they, I guess, Suriname is a Dutch or used to be a Dutch colony. And the 777 was to be used on their one international route, a very long haul route between the Netherlands and Suriname, which is in northern South America. And they procured the airplane a while back, but it has not yet been used on this route. And instead, before acquiring the 777, which caused the board of directors at Suriname Airways to suspend the chief executive officer, I believe, for making that decision. I guess he did it kind of on his own without asking anybody on the board of directors. But I guess maybe he's been reinstated. But anyway, before that, they were using, let's see, from 2004 to 2010, they were using a 747-300. From 2010 to 2019, they were using an A340-300. In mid-2019, it was announced that Suriname Airways would replace its single A340 with a Boeing 777-200ER, which is more fuel efficient, and that they would acquire it from Singapore Airlines aircraft. Here it is. The decision was a controversial move and even got Suriname Airways boss at the time suspended, as he apparently made the decision without consulting the board. Whoops. And so why were you even talking about this? Well, since they have procured the 777-200 in the beginning of this year, 2020. They haven't been operating it, and they're saying the reason is, well, it requires ETOPS, extended range operations, which requires the airplane to be certified to do it and the air crew to be certified. And when they were operating the 340, it wasn't a problem because that was a 4-engine airplane. So they didn't need to worry so much about ETOPS. And the interesting thing here, the article says, or the blog here says, that the reason the airline's giving for not operating this airplane is that they haven't been able to get their pilots to a simulator to get the ETOPS certification, which I think is kind of a, I don't know, it doesn't sound like a very reasonable excuse for, I mean, certainly you can find a 777 simulator somewhere. They're saying that they were planning
they're like they're everywhere.
Can you?
Everybody operates 777s. They've got to be hundreds of them around the world.
Yeah, the spokesperson for the airline says, well, we were trying to get them to Miami to get them certified, but because of COVID, I guess the U.S. is not allowing travel from Suriname to the U.S. or something. I don't know, but why not just put them on? Well, they're operating now a wet lease from Air Belgium, another A340-300 from Suriname to Amsterdam. Well, heck, put the pilots on that flight, and I'm sure they're going to be able to find a 777 simulator in Amsterdam, right? Wouldn't you think?
Yeah,
just not.
There must be some at Schiphol. I would guess. I mean,
something doesn't sound.
It's such a it's a airline that is the most successful Boeing aircraft. It's overcome the 747 as the most successful Boeing big airline. So
KLM?
Yeah, someone will have one.
I don't know. I don't know what. It's just such a weird time in the world, and Suriname is not a huge place. I guess it just depends on the whole environment with COVID and diplomatic relations and everything else, and maybe they legitimately are having a difficult time of it. I don't know.
I wonder if Suriname is particularly badly affected, and nobody wants to let them in.
Don't know.
Could be. I think I have a feeling that it may have something to do with the actual certification of the 777-200ER, and because it's not
the pilots.
cheap. Yeah, it's expensive to get these things properly certified to do this. I'm
not sure it was a great move for them to move away from 4 engines, to be truthful.
Apparently not. They thought, look, think of all the money we're going to save with fuel, but now they're probably not.
The 340-300 was not that bad in comparison with, say, the 600 or a 747. They're really quite reasonably fuel efficient because of the small engines. So, yeah.
Well, they say that if they operated the 777 right now, because of the ETOPS thing, they can't be with more than 60 minutes away from any suitable alternate airfield, which would require them to basically follow along just off the coast of the United States and Canada, Greenland, and the way out of the way. They said it adds 3 hours to the flight time to do that, as opposed to just going straight across the Atlantic, which they do now.
So much for their fuel savings.
Yeah.
I don't think they thought it out all the whole way.
Yeah.
It's such a shame.
Anyway, so big head scratcher on that one, I think. Something weird going on.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on. We need to play this.
Well, hey, flying cars.
Yay.
Video time?
Yeah, why don't we go ahead and play the video? I think we'll be able to talk over it. Looks like our mics are unmuted. So here we have the video of the SkyDrive Cartivator. What would you call it? A private flying car?
I'd call it an oversized drone with someone driving it. Yeah.
It doesn't really look much like the Jetsons car.
No, it's like a Star Wars motorcycle. What do they call those ones where they dash through the forest?
Mm-hmm.
That's what it looks like. It looks great.
Yeah. So let's see. The decades-old dream of zipping around the sky as simply as driving on highways may be becoming less illusory. Illusory. How would you pronounce that word?
Illusory.
Okay.
Illusory.
Okay. It just, as soon as I said it, I thought, that doesn't sound right at all.
I don't like the fact it's only got four motors. It needs another 2 at least.
Well, you know what? I think maybe each of those black things is actually an electronic motor, so there could be...
Oh, there's actually 8.
8?
Ah, and in that case, all right, I'll forgive him.
Okay. So you have Captain Nick's stamp of approval.
Actually, I quite like that. I mean, that looks quite cool, doesn't it?
I don't know. I watched people driving regular automobiles this afternoon, and this guy's doing a very precise job of flying this little neat box around this practice area here. But
It doesn't look like it's really easy. I mean, it's kind of bobbling around a little bit. I know this is one of its first actual real flights. It's only getting about, I don't know what, 10 feet above the surface of this test area.
Yeah.
It's got a long
about 3 miles an hour.
Yeah. The company is called SkyDrive Incorporated. It has carried out a successful, though modest, test flight with one person on board. I guess they've done some other test flights before, and what did the article say? They
Less
weren't
successful.
it was less successful. Darn it, where is
A
it?
demonstration flight 3 years ago went poorly.
Poorly.
That's what it says.
Yes, it went poorly. There we go. Yeah, I did have it highlighted. There we go. I had to scroll down further.
Yeah, you would thought this would have the same stabilization system as a drone, in which case it would normally be like rock steady.
You'd think.
There'd be nothing to, yeah.
I don't know. Have you seen me fly a drone?
I've seen Fred fly one, and that's definitely not rock
He's
steady.
good at it.
That's really good at it. And those things don't have stabilization systems on them. It's all him.
No.
It's all Fred.
Absolutely.
Battery sizes, air traffic control, and other infrastructure issues are among the many potential challenges to commercializing them. Now, I love this guy. This is Sanjeev Singh, professor at the Robotics Institute at Carnegie Mellon University near Pittsburgh, who is also working on an eVTOL aircraft. Many things have to happen. If they cost $10 million, no one is going to buy them. If they fly for 5 minutes, no one is going to buy them. If they fall out of the sky every so often, no one is going to buy them, he said in a telephone interview. And he's right, you know?
Yeah. Oh, sure.
It doesn't take many of these things to just fall out of the sky and kill people. People go, maybe.
Not such a great idea. Yeah.
iHaul Boxes is making a good point there.
Well, there you go. Suriname Airways, Suriname, no ETOPS with 8 engines.
Just pick up a bunch of those and let people fly themselves individually across the.
Yeah, not too many passengers to be able to go along. And I'm not sure how far from Suriname you're going to make it in 5 minutes.
Yeah. Good luck with that.
Yeah, have fun with that. Anyway, well, looks like some people are making some progress, albeit rather slow. But we'll see.
Yeah.
They claim that that's the future. And finally, this is a good one. A feel-good story. The runway lights broke, but Iggy guided in a child medevac flight with headlights. Iggy late Friday night. That's what they called it when I was there. Late Friday night, a child in Iggy needed to be medevac.
You're changing it every time you say it.
Iggy Yagig.
Yeah, but you know what? I think look at the word. I think it's probably Iggy not.
Iggy
not ya. Yeah.
Iggy.
This I just have to be careful here because this pronunciation guide right there I actually got from the New York Times, so it could be really, really wrong.
They really know how to pronounce Inuit names.
That's the point. The small Southwest Alaska village is right at the mouth of the Kivik River, south end of Eliana.
To be fair, we don't know how to pronounce these names either.
I'm not a native Eskimo, so I don't know how to pronounce those things. LifeMed sent a King Air flight over from Kodiak. I got that one. That usually takes about 30 minutes. Thank you. Oh. But this year, the village's state-owned airport has had some problems with runway lights. In the other article, it said that is because of vandalism. When residents went to turn them on to guide the flight in, nothing happened. Usually this would stop a plane from being able to land. Ida Nelson had just climbed out of a steam bath and was getting dressed when she heard the LifeMed plane fly over her village. When they first flew over, I was like, oh my gosh, that sounds like a weird vehicle. I've never heard that truck before. And it wasn't a truck, it was an airplane. It was 11 p.m. or after 11 p.m., she said. She knew something was wrong. Anytime there's any type of planes flying after dark, you always assume it's going to be something urgent and an emergency. She can see the airport from her steam bath, and when she looked to see what was going on, the runway lights weren't on.
Can I stop you for a second? That sounds like the perfect place to do your spotting from. Airplane
The
spotting from your
steam
steam
bath?
bar.
Steam bath. Well,
Yes.
apparently she has a very commanding view from her.
Thanks, fantastic. I commend her for the position of her steam bath.
Yes, I do too. Another stamp of approval from Captain. Okay. Let's see. So she says, normally if you push the button like 10 or 15 times, the lights will just light up. But where she's talking about the microphone.
Well, usually 7
frequency.
times, 10 or 15.
Yeah, or 10, 15, that'll do it too,
Whatever.
right?
Yeah.
But they didn't, and so the medevac plane flew over the village. She hopped onto her four-wheeler, sped the few hundred yards to the runway. Her neighbor jumped in to help too. She started calling other people and waking them up, like, get up, get out of bed, come line up on the runway, she said. I think she's talking about in their vehicles. That's pretty much almost every household in this village. Pretty much every cell phone.
Quick, come and lie on the runway.
That would be a bigger mess. They need more medevac flights coming in for those people.
Yeah.
She said Nelson said her neighbor made 32 calls for help. That's pretty much almost every household in this village. A local pilot got a hold of the pilot of the Life Med plane. Villagers drove their cars, trucks, and four-wheelers toward the runway. Nelson says the weather was calm. The medevac pilot circled as she and others on the ground coordinated people via phone and radio. She said a lot of people got up out of bed and were running around in their pajamas. They staggered vehicles facing east, running the whole length of the runway, lighting the pilot's way so he could be able to see the end of the runway, she said. And then they waited. I was anxious and nervous and was like, what if this was my baby waiting for that plane, she said. As the pilot got ready to land, an on-call health aide told everyone to stay put when the airplane touched down. And so once she was able to get the patient on the plane, everybody still stayed in their positions, and he was able to taxi down the runway and take off. No one from Life Med Alaska answered the phone Friday evening, but on Facebook, the company posted a photo briefly. It's completely dark, except for a straight line of lights off in the distance. The company wrote, what appears to be a blurry, dark photo is actually a view of what an amazing community can do with a lot of determination. So anyway, well done.
Oh, that's a great story.
Feel good, definitely. And hopefully, I mean, very good for the kid that needed the services too.
Yeah, hopefully I think that somewhere I read that it turned out well for the child. So that is it for part 1 news segment. And now would be a great time to get to know us a little bit. There's me giving the single finger
salute.
Sign of
appreciation. Yeah.
Sign of appreciation. Thank you, Nick, for putting that nice pose in there for me.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
You're happier on the little one underneath.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, it's because he's hanging out with me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. And he knows what'll happen if he doesn't smile.
Yeah, because she's holding that
needle.
Anywho, so it was last Thursday when we recorded the last episode, and you'll remember I was in the kitchen of Steph's home on the lake, and I was there mainly because the very next day, and we talked about it in the last episode, we were going to be on the last flights, our last airline flights that Captain Jeff, Colonel Jeff, would be commanding in his airline career at American Airlines. We can say it now because he is no longer employed by the company. And so, that's what happened. We recorded the show, and then the next day we headed down up to the airport, I guess.
Yeah, it's north of here. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then we were able to, Steph and her dad, Mike, and myself met up with Mike Carrolls. Yeah, he flew in from Atlanta that morning, and then we waited for Jeff's flight to come in from Newark, I believe.
Newark, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Newark. Mm-hmm. And so, we talked with him, and we got on the flight and flew from Charlotte to Jacksonville. And then a short period of time on the ground in Jacksonville, we got back on the airplane and flew back up to Charlotte. And I was very honored and fortunate that I was able to ride on Jeff's jump seat. And I was able to record a bit, and I think I'll play that right now. Share that with everybody. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, Captain Jeff here, one of the Captain Jeffs, on Captain Jeff, the good-looking one, Colonel Jeff's jump seat on his very last flight for Ajax Airlines. And we're between Jacksonville and Charlotte right now, about to start the arrival procedure into Charlotte. But before we do, I'm going to ask Jeff to say a few things to the wonderful APG community.
Oh, I don't even know what to say. It's been amazing. It's been a treat. Jeff's been on the jump seat going up, coming down to Jacksonville from Charlotte, and then going back up to Charlotte. Just so you know, Dr. Steph and her dad, Mike, are in Nebula like this. She's in 1A, both legs. And for those of you who knows, Dispatcher Mike from the Flying in Life podcast is back in coach there. So it's bittersweet landing. True to form, Dispatcher Mike made sure that air traffic control knew it was my Finney flight. And about 3 radio changes later, they finally stopped congratulating me. I'm just happy that it's kind of over now. With all that's going on with the airline industry, it's a good time to retire. I'm looking forward to my next career, number 3. I've landed a job with an outfit in North Jersey flying a Falcon 2000 around. So a different kind of flying, different kind of life there. Been a real joy having Jeff with me since I was on his jump seat for his last flight. Although I didn't get to see his last landing because we had to do what's called an auto land in Atlanta because the weather was so bad. So I'm giving him 2 landings instead. So in that regard, got to sign off. Time to start going down to Charlotte. Time getting busy. So you'll be hearing more from me. Thanks.
Yeah, things are going to start getting busy now. And so we're going to go ahead and stop this recording. And I'm sure we're going to get more regarding the retirement of Captain Jeff from Ajax Airline a little bit later. And that was the plan. But I didn't follow through on that plan. That was the only audio.
we didn't do any recording
Good job, Jeff.
later on that evening. Nothing. Sorry. We had a good time. And
right there. She didn't remind me to do any more recording, so I'm going to put part of
what a pair of podcasting professionals.
Thank you.
Right. No.
Hey, at least I got the recording from the cockpit. Come on.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
That was good. Yeah.
It sounded like it was in your car.
It was
actually very quiet, wasn't it?
At 30-something thousand feet. Yeah.
Take your word for it. Video would have been better.
Okay.
Well, you know.
I guess we don't get Captain Nick's stamp of approval. Or
Nope.
The way we've
Lane might have figured out what happened here.
Alcohol got in the way, says Lane.
No, come on. There was no drinking at all.
Zero.
So tell us about what happened after we landed in Charlotte stuff.
What happened? So, we came back to my place and actually got out on the lake for a little while. Still very nice lake weather here. So, and hung out on the dock for a little bit. And Colonel Jeff kind of spent the rest of the evening regaling us with stories from his career. He's got a lot of stories. Been around for a while. And it was really very pleasant. And I think we were out until, it was probably 11 or almost midnight by the time we kind of called it quits and got to bed.
Yeah, we didn't really want to stop, but it was kind of starting to get late. And we told Jeff, and I think that some other people have suggested to him, maybe his daughter, or I can't remember exactly who he said that he needs to write all this stuff down and write a book of his experiences.
Yeah, he should. I mean, they're great stories and always fun to hear.
So
there's probably a sleep education medical unit there that could use them.
Wow.
Sleep therapy unit.
No. Colonel Jeff stories are
You're not getting Captain Nick's stamp of approval.
I'm joking. He was an Eagle driver after all.
Yeah. Jeff is such a great friend of mine and of the show, and we were just so thrilled that we were able to share his last airline flights.
Well, you're lucky.
Yeah, it wasn't really supposed to be the last flights, and it just kind of worked out that way. So
yeah, it was going to be a big grand arrival into Newark on Sunday morning, and he learned a few days before the trip started that the last day was going to be a double deadhead. So he was not going to be flying the airplane at all. So yeah, he said, I'm not going to end it like that.
No.
So yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad a few of us were able to be there. It was nice.
Yeah.
Nice day for flying too. We got a very nice tour of all of Lake Norman, courtesy of Charlotte arrivals, air traffic control.
Yeah. Thank you very much for that. Get my seal.
Basically to Virginia and back. It's like, oh my gosh, where we go? Oh, okay. Yeah, I know where we're going. Yeah. Oh, forever. But
a little busy. Yeah.
That happens. Fair, Charlotte's been busy.
We get and sometimes go out to Alabama before we make our turn.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
yeah, that was a lot of fun. Thank you guys for coming over and spending the evening, and my pleasure to host. I'm glad. I wish more people have been able to come, like especially Nick and Liz, and that would have been fun. But
yeah,
it's a weird year, so
COVID times.
COVID times.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah, but
yeah, and I've been there in the shop. What a shame.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So, and so I know you're listening, Jeff, because he has listened to every single Airline Pilot Guy show, including the 40 some odd shows that I did before I rebranded to Airline Pilot Guy. So that was the Catholic Pilot days. So, so he's my number one fan, our number one fan, and we congratulate you, sir, for your great airline career, and now you're starting your new corporate jet career. So.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and we missed out on seeing Armando that day. He's had some stuff going on in his personal life, so we're thinking about you, Armando, and yeah, we'll definitely catch up with you at some point.
Yeah, we missed you, Armando.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's see what else. Yeah, not a lot going on with me. Did I start off on this? I guess nobody else has talked about what has been happening.
You started, yeah.
So I'll go ahead and just throw this in. It really has nothing to do with me and what I've been doing, except for making mistakes. And we strive to hit that 50% mark. And apparently, I dropped the ball on the last episode when we were talking about video footage. And I dropped the B ball. And so Roger Stern is here to help us.
Greetings, APG crew. Let's go back to episode 448 when you got into a discussion about the term B-roll. Captain Jeff said confidently that the B stands for background.
Yes.
He went on to stake his life on it, which I'm sure he realized at the time might be a mistake.
All right. Well, thank you, Roger, for sending in the feedback. And oh, wait, was there more?
Excuse me.
Oh, wait a minute. Hang on. Let me see. There might be a little bit more left in this song.
Yep, it was. Before explaining the term, let me define it for those not familiar with B-roll. It's the video shot during a TV news story to help explain what's going on and complement the reporter's narration. If the reporter is talking about a plane, the B-roll is the video of that plane. So why is it called that? Don't feel bad. I suspect even many of those in the industry can't answer that question because the term is anachronistic, like a collection of songs being called an album. B-roll is an old film term. It came into use decades ago before the advent of truly portable video equipment when you use 16mm film for TV news coverage. Back then, to put the story on the air, the editor would splice together two rolls of film of equal length, one called the A-roll and the other the B-roll. The B-roll would contain what I just described, the film referenced by the reporter which illuminated the story. The A-roll would contain the main audio elements, some with visuals, some without. It would have the reporter's narration, film from interviews, what we call sound bites, and very likely film of the reporter talking into the camera describing what's going on while standing in front of something visual. At airtime, those two rolls of film would run simultaneously in two separate projectors. The audience would hear the main audio from the A-roll, but the video would switch back and forth. When you heard the reporter's narration on the A-roll, which would have no visuals because it was recorded after the fact, you would see the B-roll. Bottom line, there is no word for the B and B-roll, which simply reference the second roll of film. This is Radio Roger, over and out.
Just as I said, B-roll stands for background roll. That's what I got from that. No.
Yeah,
Sure.
I didn't. I'm sorry.
I didn't
had
do that
something
at all.
slightly different.
You got something different?
Yeah.
That's
For bacon.
interesting. That was good stuff. I actually enjoy learning little trivial information like that. And that's a cool story. Thank you, Roger.
Have we recorded 448 already?
No. I think we need to help Roger out with his 50% accuracy just a little bit.
Oh, Roger.
What's the show number that we're on right now?
441. He was in the future. He was on 448.
He was, yeah. So
We knew that we were going to
probably
talk about it
looking-
again 7
I
shows
think
from now.
we will probably.
We probably
on
will.
448.
Yeah, we'll have to make a note to cover this in 448.
We had to pimp you a little bit, man, for you pimping us, right? No, really, honestly, thank you very much, Roger, for keeping us straight and also for providing those great intros that you've been doing for so many episodes now. We do really appreciate that. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much it for me. Nick, how about yourself?
After my lovely exploits with Captain Al and Pip last week, no flying this week. Very sad.
Oh,
well.
You're not going to make that a weekly thing? He's drowning his sorrows.
Excuse me, just losing my voice. I would love to, but I don't know if Pip can stand letting me land his airplane too often.
Well, you can just
Pip or the airplane.
Both.
Oh, okay.
Both. Yeah. So all I did was a bit of bowling. I had 3 semi-finals to play for our competitions, and I managed to win through every one. So on finals day, I have 3 games to play. So that'll be great fun. It'll give me something to give. Hopefully, I'll come home with some silver. And that's about it, really. Other than that, the weather has really started to break here in the UK. It's got a lot colder, and the rain's coming. So the autumn is truly upon us, I'm afraid. It's just such a shame.
Well, just come over here to the southeastern United States, and you can get very, very hot and humid weather.
Yeah, that's not my favorite either. So somewhere in between would be nice.
Yeah,
Currently 93 degrees Fahrenheit.
Ooh. Somewhere in a desert island with no COVID. That'd be lovely.
No, that's here.
Okay.
Steph, other than it being extremely hot, what else is going on with you?
Oh my goodness! I went for a run last night. I'm trying to get back on the workout horse. All these races and things canceled, and it got hot and humid, and I lost a little bit of motivation to exercise as much as usual. So I did promise that my coach I'd go out and run last night, and it was at 10 o'clock. Still feels like 88 degrees Fahrenheit and 77% humidity, and it was pretty gross. So that's neither here nor there, but flying stuff going on. So you guys were here on Friday for Colonel Jeff's flights. That happened Friday last week after we recorded. Saturday, the weather in Charlotte was kind of meh. I don't know if you remember Saturday morning. It was pretty well rainy.
I drove in some really, really rainy.
Yeah, it wasn't so great. So
back to Atlanta.
No flying on Saturday. Sunday was beautiful. So we flew jumpers all day long, and then had to ferry a couple aircraft around for various scheduled maintenance, 100-hour inspections and whatnot. So that takes us through opposing bases territory, the mythical Triad region. So one of these times I'm going to get to talk to one of them. That did not happen on Saturday, or on Sunday, but
is that the Bermuda Triad?
It is, yes, the Bermuda Triad.
Okay.
Yes.
Where airplanes disappear, never to be seen again.
Coming very close. They're always, one of them's there, usually just not on frequency at the time that I'm actually talking on the radio. So we'll get there. Yeah.
Cool.
But anyway, yeah. So that was my week, and I've been super busy working recently. This week has been much better. So that has been a kind of a nice reprieve for me.
Very good.
Doesn't feel as hectic. Doesn't feel as, running around from point A to point B and not having having time to catch my breath in between. So
excellent. It's always good to catch your breath. Okay. All right. Well, that's about it. I think we should keep this thing moving on.
I'm with Nick.
Try to knock out some
coffee fund.
So, I need to do the coffee fund. Thank you, Liz.
Perfect timing.
Right.
Yes, good
Perfect
timing.
time to recharge your beers. So here we go. Let me play some coffee fund music. Okay, I'm going to use a different sound player so I get better recordings for post editing. Where is it? Coffee fund. I know you're here somewhere. Here we go.
Johnny, how much more coffee? No thanks.
I love coffee. I love tea. I love the APG community. Coffee and tea and the Java and me. A cup, a cup, a cup, a cup, a cup.
All right. The Coffee Fund, your way to support the show financially. That was Jeff Smith, by the way, singing the Java Jive, the APG version. Thank you very much, sir. A couple different ways to do this. The Coffee Fund Classic method. And 3 community members used it since the last show. Alistair Kerr, Ruben Phillips, and Randy Ackerman. So they all use the Coffee Fund Classic method, which you can use for a one-time donation or a recurring donation. And the other way to participate in the Coffee Fund is to become a patron of the show via Patreon. And basically you pledge a certain amount per episode, and you can set a max expenditure for the month, and really helps us out. So a majority of the folks that contribute to the Coffee Fund are using Patreon. And since the last episode, a couple of new producers, Warren Dixon and Alan Davis, new patrons of the show. So thank you guys. If you're interested in finding out more about how you can join this great group of folks, head over to airlinepilotguy.com/coffee. You'll be glad you did. All right. Elizabeth, you're saying that
Jeffrey.
Yeah.
What seems to come back into sync now?
Okay. Yeah, that's just video streaming. I don't know what else to say about that. The way it goes.
Okay. Nick's back.
All right. Well, welcome back, everyone. Rejoin me, please. All I see is a big, giant Jeff head. And I do like this, only seeing Nick and not hearing him.
It's his mute button broken too.
Oh, yeah, the mute. There we go. We got it. All right. Guys, ready for some feedback?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, very out of sync. Weird.
I'm still out of sync?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, who cares?
It is what it is.
It is what it is. I always like that saying. I just can't find the feedback bumper in this player. So I'll just use the old-fashioned way. I know where it is down here.
Captain, incoming message.
All right, let's start off with this from our good friend George Nolly, who is the host of the Ready for Takeoff podcast. You can find that at readyfortakeoffpodcast.com. Regarding calling out to go around when I was about to be furloughed in 1981, I had already been downgraded to B-737 flight engineer. I know, there's no such position, but that's what it was called. Okay. United was losing money hand over fist, and the captain of my trip didn't care about saving fuel. He was a player, had a different girlfriend on every layover, and had a hot date for our final landing. So he was flying final way too fast. I said, I'm being furloughed, and it looks like you have stock in Shell oil. He ignored me. Then, since we were unstabilized, I said, go around. He ignored me. So in a very loud voice, I looked up at the CVR microphone on the overhead display and said, second officer to voice recorder, I recommend go around. So he went around.
Go around, go around, go around, go around, go around, go around. You can always go around.
All right. Interesting story. So I gather that he was a first officer, but he was called a second officer? Sitting in the right seat? I don't get that.
No, he was flight engineer.
Well, I know, but there is no.
He was downgraded. Oh, 737 flight? Yeah.
Position
Oh, okay. Sorry, I was half paying
Would he
attention there.
sit on the jump seat?
He's saying he's like one door or 1 foot out the door being furloughed there. So,
well, no, I think that he was actually, yeah, okay. George, send us some more feedback and explain with a little bit more detail what you mean. I mean, did you sit in the jump seat for every flight?
Maybe he really meant to write. He was thinking about being downgraded to flight engineer. That doesn't exist, and he meant to write first officer instead of.
No, I think that he said, no, I know that there's no such position, but that's what it was. No, I think he meant to say flight engineer. Anyway, we need
maybe he felt like he was a flight engineer on this particular flight because of the captain's.
No, I don't think that's that either.
I don't know.
George,
I'm just trying to think.
Send us some feedback. Well, stop. George, send us some feedback and let us know what exactly you were talking about because we're confused.
Just say, shut up, Steph.
Shut up. I need to make one. Shut up, Steph. All right. Anyway, Liz, would you put that overlay on here? We have, George says, regarding the aerotoxic incident on JetBlue you discussed, your listeners might want to hear Ready for Takeoff episode 108, which is entitled Aerotoxic Syndrome. Fume events can be very serious and have even contributed to pilot deaths. I always carry a carbon filter N95 mask when I travel, and if I smell dirty socks, we'll go on. Or here, I have some advice, George. If you smell dirty socks, maybe do some laundry.
I was just going to say, put your shoes back on. Don't be so mean. Poor first officer.
Yeah. Anyway, so we have on the screen there for those who are watching us or watching the video. That's his from his podcast website.
I have that T-shirt.
I do too. Very cool.
Very nice T-shirt.
Anywho, so as always, thank you, George, for sending in feedback to our show. Okay, Liz says 10 minutes to go here before plane tail. So let's keep going. Captain Joe sent us some audio feedback. Here we go.
Dear APG crew, it's Captain Joe from the beautiful city of Berlin in Germany. I'm a captain on the A320, and today I have a question for you. What's the most embarrassing passenger announcement you ever had to make? Well, no question without a story to share. Today I tell you a story I experienced a couple of years ago. It was a flight from Berlin to Istanbul, and just after liftoff, when we were raising the landing gear, I saw a small spurt just in front of our windshield. It was a really small one, about the size of a sparrow, and a second after I've spotted it, it ended its life on our windshield. Well, aircraft continued to fly fine. All the engine indications looked normal, and airspeed and altitude information were as they were suspected to be. And after brief coordination with my first officer, we decided to continue our flight. When we passed level 100, I wrote everything down in our maintenance logbook and texted the information to our maintenance department. The remainder of the flight went uneventful, and when we just left our cruising altitude in the descent towards Istanbul, we received an answer from our maintenance department. That's something I will never forget. It was like, dear colleagues, we were trying to contact our contracted maintenance provider in Istanbul for 2 hours, but did not get any answer. We called your handling agent to go to the office, and she said that nobody was there. We contacted 2 other maintenance providers at your destination, and both told us that they do not have any time to perform a bird strike inspection for the next hours. So, if your fuel status is still sufficient, please divert to Sofia. Everything will be arranged for you. Well, Istanbul has a population of more than 15 million people, and I'm pretty sure that some of them are qualified to write off a bird strike. I took a deep breath, clicked the mic button, informed ATC that we have to divert to Sofia. I had to confirm twice that we do not declare an emergency and that they can expect normal operation. And after everything was arranged, I called our purser, informed him about the issue. He couldn't believe it either. And then I took a deep breath, clicked the mic button again, and made the PA. In my experience, it's usually the best thing to stick with the truth, and that's what I did. I told my passengers that due to lack of maintenance engineers, we have to divert to Sofia, told them about the bird strike, that everything was fine, that the aircraft is still safe to fly, that's just an issue of paperwork and legal requirements, which was true. After landing in Sofia, everything was arranged for us. The maintenance engineer in Sofia checked our flaps and the other flight controls visually, took a look into our engines, inspected our pitot and static parts, and used a single wet wipe to clean the mess on our windshield. It took another 2 minutes to do the paperwork. We lifted up enough fuel to continue our flight to Istanbul, and when I went back into the cabin, about 150 pairs of eyes were focused on me, saying, well, we just cannot believe what you've just told us. The flight back to Istanbul went uneventful, and we arrived there with a delay of less than 2 hours. That's what a single sparrow can do to your aircraft, and I talk about the bird, not about the rocket. Small bird, small impact, but big impact on your flight. So, hope everybody of you get some airtime until the COVID-19 crisis is over. All the best to you. Thanks for the great show, and enjoy the last days of summertime. Bye.
Well, thank you, Captain Joe. And we're enjoying airtime right now on StreamYard, YouTube, and that's the only kind of airtime. Actually, it was fun to get back in an airplane when last Friday I got to ride the jump seat back from Charlotte to Jacksonville and back. I thought, oh yeah, I remember this. Sort of.
Okay, Jeff, so what was or has been your most embarrassing PA to make?
I was telling Liz, I said, I can't really think of any embarrassing PAs I've had to make to the legitimate PAs, but I think for me, the most embarrassing thing that I've done is done a very long PA going from Atlanta to Newark on the air traffic control frequency.
Yes, I think we've all done that.
Yeah, that was the most embarrassing.
To get applause afterwards?
We got a lot of comments, a lot of commentary. Yeah, some positive, mostly not. It was actually all pretty good. They all complimented my PA, and they said, now you should probably tell your passengers. Yeah, it's not.
I love it.
How about you, Nick? Any embarrassing PAs?
Oh, I'm trying to think back, and I think, if you get a series of problems and you have to apologize, every time something compounds to make the problem worse and the situation more difficult, you have to find a way to apologize with more sincerity and make a deeper apology, it seems. And I remember a trip where we got on the aircraft and the engineers were all sitting there. And we said, oh, what's the problem? He said, this aircraft's just come out the hangar. It's got a history of air bleed leaks, but we think you'll be fine. And I went, oh, by the way, an air bleed leak. There's lots of pneumatics coming from the engines that feed down through the wings and into the aircraft to pressurize and do other jobs. And there are a lot of sensors around those pipes because the air out of the engines is extremely hot and can do a lot of damage very quickly. Your wings are full of fuel, so you don't want your wings to go boom. So we treat this particular emergency quite seriously. But this aircraft had a history of false bleed leak warnings. Anyway, we said, okay, well, you fixed it, have you? Oh, yeah, I'm pretty sure we fixed it. So I said, okay. We climbed in, got all the passengers, absolutely packed airplane because BA were having a lot of strikes. So, everyone had transferred across. We go to New York and we started off. And of course, eventually I got to the point where we started an engine and bang, bleed air leak. Warning. So the engineers all went, oh, okay. like
I thought we had fixed it.
Yeah, exactly. So then began about 45 minutes or an hour of technical efforts to get rid of the problem. And eventually they said, no, we can't do it. And of course, I'm making a PA every 10 minutes. And so we have to disembark everybody. And then we need to find a new airplane, which we managed to move all the catering across, get back everyone on board. We were only delayed 4 hours. So we eventually got on the new airplane and set off. And the occasional thunderstorms at JFK had turned into a mass front of thunderstorms. And as we came down over Boston, we couldn't get more than halfway to JFK before we were turned around and sent back to Boston, and where we were told to hold. And eventually we just didn't have enough fuel to hold for long enough, and I diverted to Boston. At that point, we ran out of crew duty time. So we couldn't wait for the weather to clear and take the passengers onwards. We had to climb off and go to a hotel. So, it was just a day of making apologies. And it was just, you're just so desperate to think of something new to say to show how sorry you are that you screwed everyone's holiday plans and flight over.
It's not ideal for us either, is what you really need to know. Like, we're not enjoying this any more than you are.
Yeah, I know. But I think by that point they were beyond good job.
Did they get put up for the night and then flown?
No, they got put on buses and driven to New York from Boston.
From Boston? Ew.
Yep.
That's unfortunate.
What's fun?
I had a word with the ground crew. Luckily, we had Virgin staff at Boston, one of our destinations. And I said, oh, God, how are the passengers taking it? And she grinned at me, amazingly resilient woman, and said, oh, we've only got a few screamers.
And they're all asking for your name and phone number.
Exactly right. Yep.
Information.
Not one of those trips where I was handing out my business cards.
Yeah.
No. Well, I don't have to make PAs, so that's a good thing.
Not yet.
Not
Maybe
yet.
one of these days.
Maybe one of these days. I have had some, embarrassing moments of like just screwing up radios and making incorrect calls too. So
No,
no, never. But my best one most recently was not in one of our aircraft, a different aircraft. But I was like, I got the radios, I got this. So, but the radios, COM 1 and COM 2, were basically flipped from what they were in the aircraft I had just been flying, and one of the local CTAF frequencies is just overrun with like noise and garbage all the time. So I thought I'd turn down the volume on that, and then I went to call for a Bravo clearance to Charlotte, and nothing happened, and I called again, and then I called again, and finally I was like, oh, I turned down the volume on the wrong radio, which is why I can't hear them. And they're like, we've heard you just fine. I was like,
the last
you're ready for your clearance yet?
Like, yeah. Sorry about that. We're here, definitely, and I can hear you now. So thanks. Yeah.
I was just listening to the latest Opposing Bases, I believe, podcast, and they talked about someone who had inadvertently entered a the
Oh,
Bravo,
Bravo. Yeah.
airspace,
The right.
and
Bravo.
didn't realize that the volume on the radio was all the way down. So yeah, there was some confusion there, and with a distraction, he ended up flying in the Bravo. Oopsie. Yeah,
Oopsie.
it happens to the best of us.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, if it doesn't
Very
seem
good.
right, it's usually operator error first. So check all
It
that.
usually is.
Usually,
Yeah.
yeah.
And if you find a fighter on your wing, it's definitely operator error.
Yeah, you really screwed up.
I like this from Jen. Oh, hold on. Jennifer. I get the right one there.
Plaid Page, Captain Over
to the white courtesy phone.
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
that would be so
not
cool.
the red phone, the white phone.
And
Well,
I would
can you make
say-
sure you record it for
Please
us?
do.
Yeah. And probably 95% of the people in the terminal will have no idea. It'll just go.
Yeah, but we'll
Oh,
know.
we will.
We'll know.
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. All righty. Well, I know we haven't knocked out too much feedback, but that's okay. We'll get to you eventually, including on part 2. We'll knock out some more. But in the meantime, I think it's best that we move on over to the best part of the show, which, of course, is this week's installment of the Old Pilot's Plane Tales. And this one is entitled RAF Form 14, RAF Form 414, Volume 7.
The Old Pilot's Plane Tales. RAF Form 414, Volume 7. When we chatted last, I had just completed my first year on number 43F Squadron, flying the F4 Phantom FG-1. I'd been operational for about 6 months, but was still one of the most junior pilots on the squadron. But at least I was now being tolerated rather than completely ignored. The year had taken a bit of a funny turn when the RAF decided to resurface the main runway at our base, RAF Lucas. This required us to move out for a while, in our case to the home of the Kipper fleet, known in some places as the Nimrod base at RAF Kinloss. It was even more to the north than Lucas, and a place where, in the summer, the sun didn't really set, it just bobbled along the horizon. The Kipper fleet, nickname of the Maritime Patrol Nimrod squadrons, was well earned, since they had spent the preceding few years flying surveillance sorties over Iceland's disputed fishing grounds, keeping an eye on the welfare of British trawlers. But most of the time they were engaged in wacky stuff like anti-submarine patrols and keeping an eye on the Soviet Navy. Kinloss was near the metropolis known as Elgin, population a little less than 20,000, which boasted a few pubs, a curry house and several golf courses. Our families were left several hundred miles to the south of us, back at our runwayless base, so the boss organised us into shifts of 2 weeks on, 1 week off, so that we could get home for a break and some nuptials. From up at Kinloss, we covered the responsibility of Northern Quick Reaction Alert all on our own, which was quite a drain, but also meant plenty of Soviet action. I quickly achieved the required number of QRA intercepts to qualify for the lovely 10 Bear badge. The variety of flying was fantastic, including such jollies as a deployment to Riga in the Viking country, Norway, to work with the Norwegian Air Force. 9 days of lovely weather, fighting their F-5 freedom fighters in air-to-air combat. It was great. We could outshoot the F-5, having all-aspect radar-guided missiles, but if we got into a dogfight, things were considerably trickier. The F-5 had a tiny frontal area, so if it pointed at you, it could disappear like it had a cloaking device. Even if you could keep it in sight, a momentary glance into the cockpit to flick a switch, and the next time you saw it was when it got into your shorts. The day's flying would conclude with a meal in the mess at around 4 p.m, and I learned why the more experienced amongst us would hum that wartime favourite of the forces, sung by Vera Lynn. We had new words for it. We'll meet again don't know where, don't know when, but we'll get whale meat again some sunny day. The RAF kindly decided that we should be fed more in line with our normal practice, so with our pockets lined with Her Majesty's gold, we would head out each night for an evening in Crapfoss, I kid you not, or up to Oslo. Reindeer steaks proved to be a great substitute for whale blubber. Our 9 days in Scandahooligan heaven, where the tanned blonde girls walk around clean wing and showing clear burn through, and we were back to bonny Scotland for more tedious missions. We often worked with our venerable Shackleton airborne early warning aircraft, which were parked, gently dripping oil, at the nearby station of Lossiemouth. And I see that I did a mission intercepting a visiting Canadian CP-107 Argus maritime patrol aircraft. Based on the old Bristol Britannia that my father flew, the Argus replaced the Canadians' earlier Lancasters and Lockheed P-2 Neptune maritime aircraft. Looking back on it, it seems like I was taking part in a gathering of vintage aircraft. A couple of days after saying hello to the Canadian Air Force, I was out over the Atlantic on a long QRA mission when the 2 Bear Deltas I was escorting with my jolly flight commander, Bertie, in the back seat, started descending down towards the ocean. We were several hundred miles west of Scotland when the Soviets broke through the overcast cloud, and we saw that the Bears were targeting some Navy ships. On closer inspection, they turned out to be 3 Canadian frigates, likely steaming to join a NATO fleet that was holding an exercise near Scotland. Indeed, the next few days were spent on long 3-hour-plus missions for Exercise Ocean Safari, defending a bunch of sailors somewhere. It's sometimes hard to recall exactly what these exercises were for, but one rings a bell. Exercise Cavalcade. Number 1 Group was part of Bomber Command, and their Vulcan V bombers used to take part in a test of the UK's air defence capabilities by making mass attacks from high level. Scrambled to intercept the incoming horde of flying flatirons, I could see dozens of vapour trails heading in our direction, way up in the stratosphere. We dragged ourselves up to height and then pooped off a few sparrows, taking out the leaders before scooting around the back to finish the survivors off with sidewinders. I remember that we were playing missile expenditure, in that we could only claim a realistic number of kills consistent with the number of missiles we would carry. I remember getting in behind this last Vulcan with my one imaginary sidewinder left on my wing. Those early winders had no flare rejection capability, so the seeker head could be easily decoyed by a flare dropped by the target. The Vulcan's red steer rear radar must have picked us up, because as I swung behind their wing line, the crew started dropping flares. I sat a couple of miles back, waiting for a suitable gap between drops, but out they came, one every second. After watching a few dozen, I thought that I'd just wait for him to run out. It became a contest between my fuel state and his stock of flares. He won, and I left him to it as I dived for home. As I departed the play area, I could still see those little drops of sunshine popping out of his backside, one after the other, in my rear vision mirrors. The summer wound down. It happens early in Scotland. Autumn came and went before we heard that our new runway at Lucas was finished. So on the 18th of December, 1979, with wee Stevie in the back, I tucked the gear up into the wheel whales, and after doing a few final intercepts against the Kipper fleet, turned and headed for our real home, back in time for Christmas with our families. It had been fun, if a little expensive, what with the repairs to the bar and the restocking of their goldfish pond. The new year, however, started with some exciting news. Skyflash. The Skyflash was a British version of the American AIM-7 Sparrow radar-guided missile. The Sparrow's original conical scanning seeker head had been replaced by a Marconi inverse monopulse seeker. This seeker was more accurate, harder to jam, and better at detecting low-altitude targets. Built by British Aerospace, the Skyflash's increase in accuracy meant that we were able to forego the enlarged US warhead that was the upgrade given to the US missiles to counter the aging Sparrow's problems. Other changes were made for Skyflash, which included a new Thorn EMI active radar fuse, better electronics, more efficient control surfaces, and an improved rocket motor. The US Navy looked at ordering this much improved missile, but in the end they took the later developed monopulse-equipped AIM-7 Mike. Part of the trials for this new missile included test firings at extremes of the envelope. Enter Flying Officer Anderson and Operation Granular. The squadron were given an attack profile to fly, and off we all went to practice. The aim was to get to about 45,000 feet, doing Mach 1.3. Our target would be up at 55,000 feet, doing Mach 2. It was fairly easy to get the F-4 up to very high altitudes or high Mach numbers, but it took a little while. It wasn't as if we had actual rockets for engines. The intercept we were practicing was going to start at about 100 miles away, and we needed to fire at around 20 miles. We would have more than 30 miles a minute of closure, so had only 2.5 minutes to find the target, sort out the intercept geometry, accelerate and climb the Phantom into a firing position, lock the radar, and then pitch up to launch this new missile. We practiced in the simulator, we practiced in the air against our buddies all through early January, until we had things down pat. As the firing dates came closer, Tony and I were told that we would get one of the precious firings, my first live missile. Come the day, the range was activated, an enormous area of the North Sea, west of Scotland, sticking out into the Atlantic Ocean. Our target was a British-built version of the Beechcraft Model 1072 AQM-37 air-launched, high-altitude, supersonic target drone called the Stiletto. It was to be launched by a venerable old Canberra, who would be at the far end of the range pointing at Scotland. After firing it, he was going to beetle away as fast as his little legs could carry him, and hopefully no other aircraft would get lost that day. I found it funny that the liquid oxygen-hydrogen mix of the rocket motor on this amazing drone was built by Harley Davidson. I'd have loved to have seen one appear at the great Harley meet at Sturgis. Come the day, I was more than excited. I hadn't slept much, and there was a lot to do. I was leading a four-ship of Phantoms consisting of the primary firer, me, the secondary firer, who would accompany me down the range in case at the last minute we had a radar problem, a tertiary firer, who would be an airborne spare and remain with the tanker at the start of the run, and a camera chase, who would film the firing through the gunsight camera. My great friend Peter had attempted a firing earlier, but a fault in the Stiletto's autopilot caused it to descend down from its target altitude. Nobody knew exactly what was going on, but they couldn't see the drone where it was expected to be. Then Peter saw an orange flash doing Mach 2 go right between him and the secondary firer, who was a mile abeam him, and just over the top of the chase aircraft. Now that caused a few raised eyebrows. Tony and I walked out to X-Ray Victor 571, the boss's jet, given the letter Alpha, and walked around examining the shiny Skyflash missile. It cost a cool £250,000 sterling. That's about 1.1 million in today's money. At the cost of flying 4 Phantoms, a Victor tanker, The Canberra and the Stiletto, it was going to be an expensive day for the taxpayer and a nervous one for me. We launched on time and climbed up into the clear blue, arriving at the range on time. We all topped up from the tanker and set up a combat air patrol racetrack, waiting for the word. I'd been given a fancy voice recorder that attached to my helmet pigtail so that we could play back our intercom and radio chatter for the debrief. I turned it on, something I would come to regret. The Canberra piped up on frequency, confirmed that the range was clear and that we were ready. Almost before we knew it, they had launched, and the game was afoot. Ben Becula, the RAF radar unit near us, and nicknamed Ben Peculiar, gave us a vector off the cap. We did our attack checks, and I started the acceleration. The seconds were quickly counting down, and I was concentrating on flying the acceleration profile as smoothly as I could, whilst Tony narrowed his radar beam to get the earliest detection he could. I climbed in full reheat to over 40,000 feet and then gently bunted over into a descent to get about 1.6 Mach. I looked at the radar, and where I usually saw a target, there was nothing. But with such high closure rates, the target would be right at the top of the pulse Doppler display. Speed in hand, I began to climb again, and Tony was trying to grab a radar lock. The first attempt looked like a false lock, and it broke, so he tried again. He was late calling the lock, and the secondary firer wanted to muscle in, but then he had it, and it all looked good. The target range was coming down the scope like nothing I'd seen before. Then it was time. I put the master arm on, pitched to center the firing dot, which gave the missile the best geometry, and called, firing, firing, now. Pulling the trigger, I waited, and with my mind going at 100 miles an hour, nothing seemed to happen. Then there was a clunk and a roar like an express train hurtling through a station only inches from your nose. I could see the faint trail of the Stiletto's rocket, about 15 miles away and up in the blue, but then a steaming great white telegraph pole blasted out from underneath my Phantom and hammered up towards the target. The tension and excitement exploded out of me, and I reeled out a line of never-to-be-repeated expletives interspersed with bellows of exhilaration as I watched the two trails close, and within a few seconds it was all over. I, however, was still babbling like an excited schoolgirl, and I think that Tony, who had had the hard job, was just relieved that he'd managed to get a radar lock on a target that was coming down the scope like a scalded cat. We saved the aircraft up and went back to the tanker to pick up our number 4 and headed for home. When I climbed out of the aircraft, the armorer who met us presented me with a handful of treasure from inside the semi-recessed missile housing. The missile firing lead, the data plug that transfers target information from the radar to the missile, and the 2 cartridges that fire the plungers which push the missile clear of the aircraft's belly, treasures I have to this day. I swaggered into the debriefing like a World War II fighter race and sat down in pride of place amongst the British aerospace missile experts, our weapons instructors, the rest of the formation, and a few senior VIPs from Strike Command who were very interested to find out how this new missile was faring. The missile experts looked glum. We're sorry to say that the telemetry from the missile failed, so we have no way to tell how successful the guidance was and how close aboard the missile came, they said. The telemetry he was referring to was an electronics package that sat in the missile in place of the warhead and through a data link transmitted all the parameters of the missile's flight. Not to worry, he said, we should get an idea from your commentary on the missile's flight path. With that, he put the little cassette from my intercom recorder into a player and pressed a button. As the sounds of my whoops and screams of excitement filled the room, everyone turned to glare at a young flying officer who was turning a bright shade of scarlet and visibly shrinking in his seat. After a full 30 seconds of nonsensical babbling had gone by, some merciful chap pressed the stop button, and blessed silence returned. I thought I was lucky that I was still at such a low rank that they could only reduce me by one level to be back at the bottom.
Great story.
Cute.
I like that one very much. Yes.
It's very kind. It's slightly light-hearted for a change. No one died.
I know. What's wrong with this picture?
Absolutely. No, actually, that was indeed one of the most exciting moments of my life, which turned into one of the most embarrassing.
That's funny.
Yeah. I took me an awful long time to live that down, I'm afraid. But there you go. That's life.
I'm sure it did. Makes for a great story now, though. We
No,
appreciate
it
it.
does. Exactly right. One to dine out on. You're quite right.
Well, we always enjoy all those entries in your RAF Form 14, in this case, Volume 7. Great stories.
Sadly, many years to go. So there'll be a few more to come, I suspect.
Good.
Really?
Yes.
Just kidding.
Hey, I'm excited about it.
Mixed reception there.
I'm just kidding. All right, and I do apologize. I don't know what that weird noise was in the middle of that, but of course, the audio only version will have the pristine copy of the tale. So
perfect.
Absolutely, I'm sure it will. And
all right,
chapters will be there available as well eventually.
Excellent. Those are always fun with all the accompanying. In case we weren't able to see the video version, and so yeah, great. Well, it's that time that we come to the end of episode 441, part 1. And we go ahead and shut it down. And then the next voices you'll hear, hopefully, will be mine introducing Miami Rick for part 2.
Very good.
Until then, au revoir.
Cheers, y'all.
Hi, everybody.
Don't know why we did that, but that
I don't know. I was just going to pick up and be like, hey, we're back.
Hey, oh, wait a minute.
Hey.
Not so fast.
Hey.
Okay. I don't know what is going on with my audio. It's just been doing strange things. I think I need to shut down my
pull the plug on.
That's right. You got 24 hours to sort it out.
That's right.
Yeah.
We expect pristine audio with you and Rick tomorrow.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yes. You'll have it fixed.
Oh, man. Let's see. I need to select all of these and save. Okay. Very good. Stopped my recording.
Oh,
we're still broadcasting though. Hello, everybody in the chat room. Always enjoying your commentary. Well, most of it.
Some of it.
Yeah, some of it.
Some of it really sucks.
Tiny.
Don't candy coat it.
I'm trying to be more forthright with my emotions and feelings.
We're not
fair enough.
Mid-year resolution for me. 3/4 of the way through the year resolution.
Sure we like the new stuff.
Oh, sorry. I'll
I know you're shifting from passive aggressive to aggressive.
To aggressive, yeah. I've been told I'm too passive aggressive, and I should be
me
more
too.
direct.
I have to shut up, Steph.
Shut up, Jeff.
Shut up, Jeff.
Steph. Darn it. Work on that.
Well, it sounds like you're telling both of you two to shut up, so I need to talk.
Okay, go ahead.
It doesn't work as well. Shut up. Like
Actually, I've just spent 20 minutes talking. I've probably said enough.
Yeah. Well.
Anything you guys want to tell us before we stop the broadcast? Oh, by the way, again, we'll be, for those in the United States, most likely, and maybe places like down under and stuff, will be a better time for those folks tomorrow night. But for those of you in the UK and Europe, probably not going to be joining us tomorrow because that'll be kind of late for you. Or
Yeah,
early.
2 a.m. It's just a wee bit. And that's the start time. And knowing your ability to start on time, it's...
Hey.
It'll be like 3 a.m. Well, maybe you'll be like just waking up. You can sit down and
I could turn on as soon
some
as I wake up.
coffee
You'll
and-
probably still be trying to fix your audio.
Check the stream once you
check.
get up in the morning and see if we're still going.
Okay, just
That's
join
a
in.
good idea.
Is what he's doing right now considered passive aggressive?
Yes, very much.
We've
so.
already had that show titled. You can't have it twice. Sorry. Which
be clear about this.
Hey, Jeff and I are trying to be more aggressive, less passive aggressive, and Nick is going the other direction. He's honing his passive aggressive skills.
I don't know. It's all aggressive to me.
There you go.
Yeah. Well,
Start time in Zulu tomorrow. So 9 p.m., 1 a.m. Yeah.
Yeah. 1
a.m. on Friday.
Yep. On Friday morning. Yep. There we go. Thank you, Liz, for typing that in.
2 o'clock in the afternoon. I thought it was noon your time. I just had 5 hours, and I thought 5 o'clock was fine. But 2 o'clock in the afternoon is fine for me too.
What are you talking about?
Tomorrow.
No, don't worry about that. That's not for anyone else.
Yeah.
It is 5 o'clock. Oh, okay.
Hold that thought on that one, Nick.
Okay, I will.
Someone cut him off.
2 a.m. No,
Yes, 2 a.m. 2 a.m. for the show recording.
That's a wee bit early for me.
Yep. A little bit. Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and end the broadcast. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for coming. So